right, hi friends. We're back for a bonus episode of Clearing with Kate today. I had a follower ask about self-betrayal and if we could do a clearing on that. And it's extremely inspiring for me. I love this request because self-betrayal has been something that has been extremely big in my life, in that I was a self-betrayer for a very long time, like big time self-betraying. And so let's look into it. I think this is such an important clearing to do. So let's look at the root of self-betrayal. And then let's also, while we're at it, look at a replacement, because, you know, we always do that. And it's a really nice way to work through these clearings. It's like, okay, we want to release self-betrayal, anything that has to do with self-betrayal, and then what are we going to call in its place? So what is the replacement for self-betrayal? Self-control. Dang, wow, I was not actually expecting that. I was not expecting that. Yeah, and I mean, it makes so much sense because in a way, when you're betraying yourself, it's because you don't have self-control. You know, so many of us know that we're betraying ourselves and there's nothing that we do to control it. We just allow it to happen over and over and over again. And so in order to release self-betrayal, we're going to call on self-control, because best believe it's hard to stop self-betraying. Even though I'm so much more aware of it now, I still have the tendency to do it. And it's only through deep, deep commitment to self-control that I have stopped self-betraying. So this is fantastic. So we're going to look at what is the root of self-betrayal. What can we do to clear it out? And then what can we do to open ourselves up to and unblock us to our self-control? So let's just get started. First, you know, we always, with our energy exchanges, we do our sort of our mindfulness exercise together. And let's just do that together right here for a moment. I want to make sure that we're all sort of dropped into this clearing together. You know, you can close your eyes throughout this whole thing. You can listen, you can absorb in any way that feels good to you. You know, you could draw, you could do art, you could express yourself and figure out maybe a little bit more about what self-betrayal means to you while I do this clearing. So I would encourage you to, you know, figure out what feels best for you in this moment. And we're going to drop in right here, right now, releasing our worries about the past or our concerns for the future, softening into the right here and the right now, connecting our higher selves, connecting ourselves to truth, connecting ourselves to higher wisdom, higher learning, and higher understanding, opening ourselves up to taking accountability, having responsibility, thinking about what it means to really have that self-control that I know will lead to self-respect, because that's the crux of it. When we control ourselves, we respect ourselves, and we no longer self-betray. And then we go from feeling about this big to taking up just the most amazing amount of space. Okay. One more good exhale, and then let's get started. So the root of self-betrayal, let's take a peek at this. So what is going on here with this self-betrayal? What is going on? What's the message? What can you tell us about self-betrayal? Well, this is interesting. This is a chart that doesn't come up very often. So what do you want to tell us about this self-betrayal? We need spiritual healing. It's on a spiritual level. Self-betrayal, the root of the self-betrayal is a spiritual root. Okay, great. Well, now that we've got that understood and out of the way, now what do you want to tell us about this self-betrayal? What else is going on here? And what can we do to release ourselves from it fully and completely? We have a desire to suffer. So right away, we're just going to say, I release my desire to suffer now. I don't desire to suffer. Say that with me now. I do not desire to suffer. I desire a good life, a happy life, a balanced life. I let go of my addiction to suffering, my attraction to suffering, and any attachments I have to suffering. I acknowledge that sometimes suffering is my own making, my own doing, and my responsibility to resolve. Great. All right. So what else can we do here as it relates to self-betrayal? What do you want us to know? What do you want us to do? What can we learn, understand, and see about this whole self-betrayal thing? We have a vow to it as well. So not only do we have an addiction, an attraction, and attachment, but we're also vowed. We are vowed to betray ourselves. And this could be a vow that we made across lifetimes, across parallels, across reality. This could be different iterations of ourselves that have made these vows. Even if you don't feel actively engaged with that vow right now, although I'm sure many of you do, these could be vows, again, that are seeped deeply into your life in a way you don't even realize. And they could actually be vows that are the foundation of many of your relationships. Perhaps you're in a marriage where you are betraying yourself over and over and over again. You are then in a vow. You are in a vowed dynamic to betray yourself. And you must break that vow. I am not afraid to break my vow to self-betrayal. Say that with me now. I am not afraid to break my vows to self-betrayal, even if it means losing people that are important to me. My dog is crying because she wants to go outside. I'm sorry. I am not afraid to break my vows to self-betrayal, even if it means losing people who are important to me. Okay. All right. So what else do we got to do? What else do we got to do? How to change your life. Grandma's good advice. We love when Grandma comes forward and gives us some good advice. That's not the actual name of the chart. That's just what I call it. You have to persist. You have to persist. You're going to want to give up. Switching into a vow to self-love and self-respect, let's say that, because I think self-betrayal, the opposite of self-betrayal is self-respect. So switching into a vow to self-respect and self-control is going to take patience and persistence. It is not something you're just going to be able to do overnight, but you can begin by noticing. You begin by being aware. You begin by, making note of when you are self-betraying, and then considering what you could have done instead. And then the next time, see how much of that thing you could have done instead you're willing and able to bring into this new situation, this new dynamic, this new, interaction. I cannot tell you how important just noticing is. Awareness, noticing, awareness, noticing. When you are no longer blind and numbed and turned off to the motivation of your own actions, and really to your own actions in general, you are so much more empowered. But when you are numb and blind, you have nothing, you have no power in the situation. And for many of you, you don't want that awareness, you don't want that knowledge, you don't want that noticing, because it is extremely difficult to look at. You might feel disgusted with yourself. You might even hate yourself. And you might not even know where to begin now to make the change. But if you have the courage and the strength to look at your actions, to look at your vows to self-betrayal, to look at every relationship that you are self-betraying in, just notice it. And then again, start to make your plan of what it looks like to do it different next time. And then when that next time comes, it's almost like practicing CPR or first aid or any of those things that require you to practice it in order to then perform it. Practicing it in your mind can actually be very, very helpful for you to perform it. I used to practice by recording voice notes. And I still record voice notes all the time for myself. But I used to practice the next interaction I was going to have with somebody when I knew I had been self-betraying. And it was like in the moment I was having such a hard time not self-betraying. And having that self-control and having that ability and that self-respect to demand better for myself and to be in alignment with my truth, I had to practice it first in a place, in a way that felt safe. And that was alone by myself. So I would practice, what is the thing I'm going to say to this person the next time this comes up? And I would talk myself through, okay, Kate, I see what you did there. I see how you lied and betrayed yourself. I see how you didn't respect yourself. These are the actions we need to take to shift that. And it did mean losing people in my life. And it did mean having to let certain relationships go. And it did mean rituals where I broke those vows. I wrote those vows down on paper and then I burned those paper. I allowed myself to truly dive into and explore my self-betrayal. I stopped denying it. I stopped blaming everybody else. I stopped refusing to take accountability, and I stopped making excuses. And it changed my life forever. I will never be the same. I will never betray myself the way that I used to betray myself. I would rather die. I would rather die. And I mean that sounds dramatic, but I mean it sincerely. I would rather die than betray myself now. And again, this doesn't mean that there aren't times where we make choices to serve others ahead of ourselves. That's beautiful. There are times where sacrifice is important, and it's a great lesson, and it's a great act of service, and it's a great act of the heart. And we still can volunteer our time, and we can still, again, give others ahead of ourselves. But that's different than self-betrayal. That's different than living out of alignment. That's different than not having self-respect. So again, but that all comes down to noticing. That all comes down to taking the time to have awareness about your own actions and how things make you feel. And again, it comes down to noticing how you feel. If you're disconnected from how you feel, you may not even know that you're self-betraying because you've numbed yourself to your feelings. And if a situation where you've betrayed yourself, if you've disconnected from how that makes you feel, you're not going to be in awareness of your own behavior and of that self-betrayal. So it's calling our awareness now to our behaviors, to the truth of our actions, to the truth of our behavior, to the truth of the vows we have made, and being willing to break those vows if we need to. An unwillingness and a fear of breaking vows has been, really fed to us through religion and through the patriarchy. And we have to be comfortable saying there are certain vows that we make that we have to break in order to respect ourselves. That is a part of life. That is a part of learning, and that is a part of transformation. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person, and it doesn't mean that you are a disappointment, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be hurt and punished. So we're going to think on that. Okay. So do you want me to explore the self-betrayal a little bit further? Yes. So let's look at the self-betrayal a little bit further. We're going to go back to Grandma's good advice. So what does Grandma's advice want to tell us now? Giving to ourselves. What percent have we been over giving to other people? 100%. What percent have we been giving to ourselves? 0%. Not enough. So our giving has been out of balance. Giving to others as an act of self-betrayal. Fear of giving that same love, respect, attention, support to ourselves. We've placed our value on what we give versus on who we are at our core. Releasing all of us now from the vow to overgive. Say that with me. I release myself from any vow I have ever made to overgive. I now vow to give in truth, to give without self-betrayal. And I now call my awareness onto my ability to decipher what is what, which is which. Because I think for some of us, that's a problem. We don't even know when we're overgiving. Again, we're so zoned out. We're so disconnected that we don't even know when we're overgiving. So we're calling our awareness into our own ability to discern when and what is the right kind of giving and the appropriate kind of giving and the beautiful kind of giving, and what and which kind is the betraying kind of giving, the overgiving. The giving in the name of betrayal versus the giving in the name of love. And you might think those are the same thing, but they're definitely not. They're definitely not. They're definitely not. All right, what else we got to do here to explore self-betrayal? What else can we look at? So there's some energies here, just like when we do our energy exchange, there's some energies here that we need to let go of. What are the energies that are fueling this self-betrayal? Anger, unworthiness, interesting, doom. Yeah, you know, the sense of doom, like the sense that, you know, something bad is going to happen to us if we don't self-betray, if we don't overgive. You know, it's like we're so afraid of losing people that we're willing to self-betray. And that doom of like, oh my God, what happens if I lose this person? So I must betray myself in order to keep them in my life. That's messed up. That's unhealthy. That's unwise. And it isn't helping us. It isn't serving us. And it is just creating this feedback loop of, you know, hate of self, anger. I forget, what was the other one? Oh, unworthiness. We think we're unworthy, so we overgive. Creates the sense of doom. It creates the anger, creates resentment, and it's just this awful, awful vortex of yucky energy that feeds off of itself. The one feeds the other, feeds the other, feeds the other, and then you're stuck in a loop, and you can step outside of that loop right now. I step outside of the looping of energy that is causing me to betray myself. I trust that I can have the courage and the strength to step outside of the looping. I know that it is possible for me to stop betraying myself. That's also a very important belief you have to reestablish. You have to reestablish that you believe in yourself to not self-betray, because a lot of people are stuck in the belief that this is just what I do. I just betray myself. I just deny myself. I just prioritize other people, etc. So you have to be confident in your own ability to stop doing that. So what % confident is this collective in their ability to stop betraying their self? 100%. So that's great. And maybe that's shifted through this clearing. Now let's look at the self-control thing. So what % is this collective open to self-control? Ooh, y'all, that was a 0. And then what % are they blocked to their self-control? That's 100. So let's look at this self-control piece. I'm getting smushed more and more into the corner because of this sunshine. Love the sunshine, but then you can see like it's if once it gets on my face, you're not going to be able to see me very well. So we're just going to keep smushing until we can't smush no more. Ooh, okay. Tweak my back out there. Okay. So we're going to go back to our chart 1. All right, 6C, 6C, 6C. This is also more yucky energies. Inadequacy. Wow, inadequacy. Sorry, you can't see this right now. Emotional instability. So inadequacy, the sense of inadequacy and our emotional instability is blocking us to our self-control. And again, it's like this weird feedback loop. It's like the emotional instability feeds this energy of inadequacy. So I'm emotionally unstable, I'm feeling inadequate, so I'm not going to have self-control, so I'm going to betray myself. And I just, again, it's like this loop, it's this loop, it's this loop. You're stuck, you're stuck, you're stuck. Maybe there are some people who like randomly one-off betray themselves every once in a while, but I think more often than not, if you self-betray, you are like a self-betrayer. That's like what you do. You self-betray. You people please, you appease, you lie, and again, you're not lying in the classical sense to get something, although it is manipulative in its own way, y'all. That's the thing that I realized about myself. That was You know, honestly, that was the thing that woke me up the most. And I was woken up through chart work, through SRT, was I was being manipulative. That betraying myself was actually manipulative because I was doing it to get something from someone else. And what I was doing it was to get love from other people. But it's a lie. When you betray yourself, you're lying. You're not telling the truth about what you need, what you want, who you are. You're pretending. And that is manipulation. And that's a hard one to confront. It's a hard one to confront that you too are a manipulator, especially for those of you that like to point the finger and blame the other person for being a narcissist or a liar or whatever. And you've been stuck in this very bad cycle of toxic relationships, and you think it's always the other person. But if you are betraying yourself in order to keep that person's love, in order to keep the relationship alive, in order to not have to, break up, get a divorce, whatever, you are equally as responsible, and you are just as manipulative as they are. Now, your manipulative nature might look sweet and pretty on the outside because it's you self-betraying. It's you, putting up with stuff. It's you saying you're okay with stuff that you're not. And it's you over-giving, and it's you over-sacrificing. And you might think that that makes you the good guy. But you're lying and manipulating, and so you're not the good guy. Like, again, I know that's really hard to hear. I know that that's unpleasant, and it's also the truth. I know. And we don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to do it anymore. And we release ourselves from that now. And again, let's go back to the vows. We had vowed to do this at a certain point, and now we're released because we've released ourselves through SRT. We released ourselves with our releasing statements. And again, you can keep doing this. Use rituals. Write it down and burn it. Write it down and burn it. Write it down and send it down the river, tossed into a body of water. Do whatever you need to do to break that vow. I don't care what it is. Break the vow. Break the vow. Break the vow to self-betrayal. Stop being afraid to break that vow. Stop being afraid to break the vows that are no longer serving you. Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than that. You need to actively break the vow. Say the words. Write down the words, burn the words, do whatever you need to do, whatever symbolism is important to you, whatever would feel good to you to break that vow, do it. Do it and release yourself from this ridiculousness now, because I know you don't want to keep betraying yourself. I know you don't want to keep betraying yourself, which is why you have found this video, right? Okay, so what else we need to do? We were looking at self-control. So what else can we do to unblock us to really fully owning and being in control of ourselves, of our actions, of our thoughts, of our actions, of our experiences? The loss of hearing God. And my note on this thing is you must look within you. And again, you must take accountability. The loss of hearing God is the loss of hearing our intuition. It has nothing to do with capital G-O-D. It is the loss of hearing your own intuition. It is you shutting up your intuition over and over and over again. That is self-betrayal. You quiet that inner voice. You quiet the future version of you that knows that this is a bad idea, that doesn't want you to do this, but you do it anyway because you've made this vow and you're being weak and you're lacking courage. And, I don't want to be harsh, but it's on you to fix that and correct that. No one is going to fix that and correct that for you other than you. No one can give you self-control other than you. No one can give you self-respect other than you. No one can stop you from self-betraying other than you. It's on you. It's on you to do that. So let's allow ourselves to become aware of the voice of God, of the voice of our intuition, of the voice of our higher self, of the voice of our angels and our guides, and those that want to tell us, hey, stop doing this. It isn't serving you. It isn't helping you. It isn't making you happy. It isn't in your best interest. And I know that you have the power and the authority and the strength to stop doing it. And please, whatever I can do, I would love to be helpful for you in whatever way I can. We're opening ourselves up now to hearing our own intuition and to acting upon it, because that's the other big part. You can't just hear it, you have to act upon it. So what percent now are we open to hearing God? 100%. What percent are we open to acting upon that hearing of God? Not at all. So what can we do to help us act, to be able to have the courage to act, the strength to act on what we hear from our intuition, from our higher selves, from our guides? Wow, I cannot use my fingers right now. Okay, what do we got going on here? There is a darkness that sometimes pulls us all under. And that darkness can be our own lack of willingness to evolve. And that's the message that I'm getting here, is like, it's your own ego drawing you down into the darkness, down into making these decisions. There is this sense of lack and this sense of darkness that is pulling you down. And we're calling for all of us to be released and to have that darkness cleansed away and to have that grip that is held. I just see something, our own egos. It's the own icky, egoic shadow side of ourselves holding our own ankles, dragging us down back into those bad behaviors. And we have to release ourselves from that now. Whew, okay. Is there anything you want me to explore here, yes or no, in this clearing? We're getting a no. Okay. So we're going to do 100% of 100% of mop up. There is so much more we could do on this whole self-betrayal thing, y'all. And I may do a whole other video series on this someday. But for right now, we're being told to wrap it up. So what is our new replacement energies that we can lean on today? Forgiveness. Helpfulness. Self-forgiveness. Endurance. Oh, comfort. Yeah, we need some comfort to be able to get through it. Okay. I didn't memorize all those as I was saying them out loud, but you heard them. We're calling all of those in now. Dropping back into this present moment, accepting and acknowledging our role in our own lives, good and bad, good and bad. Embracing our courage, embracing our strength. Allowing ourselves to be inspired, thinking about what could come when we break free from those vows, break free from the self-betrayal, forgive ourselves, and begin the process of acting from self-respect. Okay, everybody, that's all for today. I hope that was helpful for you in some way, and we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.